Hello. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Seiyuu Café Radio. Con Cafe, everyone. I am your host, Arisa Tenchou. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everyone from east to west. So, for today, I'm going straight to the topic. For today, I will be talking about one of the fandoms or one of the most talked about topics in terms of watching shows, games in the fandom, or more in the anime fandom. So this is gonna be a thoughtful chit chat on subs and dubs. Woo! Okay, so I'm actually not sure if I could discuss this well for 30 minutes. I hope I could. I really hope I could. Disclaimer once again that I'm not an expert. I'm trying not to be a know-it-all. And I'll be sourcing so many things for this episode just so that I don't sound stupid. Okay, so for starters though, for those uninformed or those who are not particularly aware, what are subs? What are dubs? So first of all, subs is short for subbing, which is when you watch or play when you watch a show or you play a game, the actual voice is used, the actual original language voice is used, and then you see a scrolling or appearing subtitles at the bottom to translate what the actual voice or voiceover is saying. On the other hand, dubs is short for dubbing, which is the opposite of subs, wherein instead of using the actual original voice, a translated, localized voice is put over the original voice. So it's called dubbing. That is what dubbing is called. That's what you call dubbing when you dub over a voice. So the reason why I actually sort of used this topic for today is just, I guess it's just something that has been, this is something that has made me curious for so long. I mean, this debate, okay, maybe this isn't a debate, it's more of a discussion. Okay, I won't kid myself. This is a debate. This has been a debate for most people. And I think, I don't know, I just find it maybe not weird or unnecessary, but more like, do we actually have to pit subs and dubs against each other? So I just want this episode to be more of an insight, my personal insight with regards to subs and dubs. So okay, let me start. Okay, I'm already starting, but whatever. Okay, so oops, slideshow. I'm using a slideshow for radio. I'm amazing. Okay, so first and foremost, how did subs versus dubs came to be? Like, I think this is a debate that has been around since I don't know, time immemorial. And but how did this came to be? Like, why why did this happen? So this is from an article from Game Rant, and it's called "The Forgotten History of the Subs versus Dubs Debate." So in this article in Game Rant, they are mentioned, or they specified when this dubbing started. So they mentioned that dubbing started back in 1988. No, maybe not 1988, but more in the 1980s. And it was started by Streamline Pictures. They are a Streamline Pictures was one of the first distribution companies that attempted to bring the then niche medium of anime to a wider American audience. According to the article, Streamline Pictures is one of the first distribution companies that created those dubs, and one of their productions was I forgot to check how you read this. Hayao Miyazaki's The Castle of Cagliostro. The Castle of Cagliostro. I think this is Hayao Miyazaki's directorial debut, and it's one of Streamline Pictures' first dub distributions. And another one of their works was Katsuhiro Otomo's cyberpunk epic Akira. Okay, so I see. So okay, according to Game Rant, treading fairly new territory for localization, while the anime industry on the other side of the Pacific was itself charting new waters with the 1980s OVA system. Streamline Pictures' early popularization of anime is a double-edged sword, with its legacy as the first example of controversy in anime localization. Okay, just to summarize what Game Rant mentioned here. One of Streamline's first foray in, maybe not first, but one of their projects is Robotech versus Macross. So I think a lot of people know Macross anime, and if I understood this correctly, Streamline was able to create a different show by compiling different scenes in Macross to create a separate show. So this is what they said. Robotech was in fact not its own show, but an assembly from Carl Masek, written together from the clips of 3 different unrelated anime. That's actually pretty awesome. It is, So, Robotech, along with early dubs of Dragon Ball Z and DIC's now polarizing Sailor Moon dub, helped to guide the block to a more direct focus on anime that has defined the block ever since. Okay, so I guess we're gonna credit Streamline from now on for starting the dubs thing. So okay, so aside from that though, I don't know where I'm going. No, just kidding. Aside from how dub started, anime has been around for, I don't know how long. I mean, it's been around since 1900. So instead of, maybe I didn't check where subbing started. Maybe I should try now. When did subbing anime started? Subbing anime started. I'm very educational. Oh my god. Okay, this is from Wikipedia. There were a few ventures into subtitling in the late 1980s. Leonard labels the fan sub of the first 2 episodes of Ranma 1/2 in May 1989 as the earliest widely distributed fan sub. Wow. Okay. So if you take this and the one that I mentioned earlier, subbing and dubbing started at the same time in America. So that's gonna be 1980s. 1988, 1989. See, the debate of subs and dubs even started together. And I don't know, I just feel like subs and dubs, and that's why the title of the radio show is Subs and Dubs, because I don't get the reason why we have to pit subs and dubs with each other. I mean, I feel like it's something that should be a preference instead of a debate. I mean, when you think about it, it's like liking a color, preferring a color. For example, my favorite color is pink. Someone's favorite color is purple. Am I going to fight that person because I like pink and they like purple? I just think that that's something. I just think that subs and dubs isn't supposed to be a debate, but more of a preference. And I just feel like this is something that has turned into a brawl fight in comments, especially in the era that we have right now because of the, cancel culture, hate culture. Instead of just preferring something, people would like want to be quote unquote supreme than the other. There's this article that I read earlier, which is really good, which is a really good summary of the difference between, maybe not the difference, but more of the pros and cons between subs and dubs. So this is from Distractify. So they mentioned here, I actually like what Distractify said here. Wait, where is it? I'm a very prepared person. In radio, this is not allowed. Okay, so from an article from Distractify, they mentioned that they mentioned which is better, the battle between subtitles versus dubbing can get serious. So here's what you have to consider. That's why the pros and cons. I like what they said here when they said, despite what you may have heard, no one is better than the other. They each have their own pros and cons. It really all depends on what's most comfortable for the viewer and how they choose to enjoy things. See, that was actually really good. That was an actually really good intro for their a very good intro for their article. So yeah, here are some of their pros and cons that they mentioned. So for the pros for subs is that the pros for the subs that they mentioned is that you get to hear the language. Okay, this is something that is much more, what do you call this, relatable for us Seiyuu fans, because instead of the show, we're more, how do you call this? We're more interested in the voice actors. So we would like to sort of hear the voice actors more. So that's one of the pros for subs. You get to hear the language, the Japanese language, the original language. And then the second one, the one thing they mentioned here. This is an example that they mentioned. RM. this is not Seiyuu or something, but RM from BTS told James Corden on Carpool Karaoke that he learned how to speak English from watching Friends subbed, then dubbed, and he's not the first person to learn a new language from a show. I think, okay, I have to admit though that I sort of learned a few Japanese words because of watching anime. And although I think some people said that you shouldn't use anime to learn the Japanese language, I think it's still helpful when it comes to vocabulary. Okay, maybe that's just me, you know. I like I said, this is just a personal insight. And then the second one, the second pros for the subs is that they mentioned is that subs are great for people who have issues hearing audio. That's true. There's something that I watched on TikTok before. They were saying that it's really helpful for people who have hearing difficulties, or they mentioned something. They mentioned this, I forgot what it is, but hearing difficulties, that reading subtitles is much more helpful when they watch a video. So that was some of the pros for subs that Distractify mentioned. On the other hand, the cons for subs that they mentioned is that they have to be condensed to fit the time frame of the people speaking, in turn getting a lot of mistranslation. Okay, so this part is something that I that I really agree with. Okay, for the example that Distractify mentioned, they took the example from Jade from TikToker, wherein Jade talked about Squid Game, which is a popular show in Korea, and she was mad because, maybe not mad. I remember watching this, but she has a lot of things to talk about because of this. Because there is one. Okay, I haven't watched Squid Game yet, but there was a part of Squid Game where a certain dialogue wasn't translated as well in the translations. I think, okay, this is what Distractify said. Jade says that one of the mistranslations in the subtitles is when Cho Sang-woo allows... Oops. Is this a spoiler? I think this is a spoiler. When Cho Sang-woo allows Ali to call him Hyung, or older brother, instead of Sajang-nim, or boss. This is a huge difference in formal and casual speech that a lot of cultures have. I see. Yeah, in anime though, I think that's something that we notice. I mean, it's something that we notice a lot as well. You know, when in a certain scene, someone calls another person in honorifics like Chan, Kun, Sensei, we don't hear it, and we don't see it added in the subtitles. Another thing. In Genshin Impact, I play Genshin Impact, and I use the Japanese voices, but there are translations. A lot of the subtitles don't give justice to the actual conversation, which which is, yeah, that's true. It causes mistranslation for subbing. So that was the pros and cons for subs. Well, look at my PowerPoint. To those listening on Spotify or any other podcast, this is pros and cons for subs and dubs. I forgot. Okay, you're safe. Those who are listening on Spotify and other podcasts, you're safe from my PowerPoint mishap. Okay, on the other hand, pros for dubs. One of their first pros for dubs is you actually get to watch the fight scenes. The example that they gave here is actually shonen animes like My Hero Academia and Black Clover. This is what they said. For anyone who's a big fan of shonen anime like My Hero Academia, or Black Clover, where there are a bunch of intense fight scenes, you might not want to read anything. You just want to see the bad guy get punched in the face mid-air and then plummet into the ground. Okay, I remember this one scene in my Boku no Hero Academia, where the main character, Izuku Midoriya or Deku, he's actually very talkative. He does a lot of internal speeches, and I guess I agree with this one that I would want to watch the scene without having to read the subtitles. Like, instead of watching Deku defeat the enemy, I'm more I'm more focused on reading the subtitles because he's so talkative, but I love my son, so it's okay. Another thing they mentioned is dubs understand your life doesn't stop just because your shows are on. Ooh. This is what they said. We love subs, we do, but we also can't sit still. Watching an anime or a movie with subs on means you're stuck there until it's all over unless you love to pause frequently. Oh, that's true. Like, with dubs, you can multitask. Yeah, that's true. So this is the cons for dubs that they mentioned. One of the main reasons people don't like dubs is because they can look ugly. Many times it's hard for one language to look like another. So watching someone speak while their mouth doesn't match up with the words can be distracting. That's true. I think this applies not only in anime but in Korean dubs as well, or telenovelas. I don't know if some of you know, telenovelas are drama shows in Latin, in Spain, in Latin countries. I think one of the reasons why some people don't like dubs is because the timing of the words are not synced with the actual animation or the person, which can look ugly in some ways, which is, I don't know. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. It can look ugly, and it gets you frustrated when, oh my god, it's not in sync, something like that. So, with that, pros and cons for subs and dubs, I think we can agree that both preference have their, advantages and disadvantages. So, just my personal opinions though. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't think that the debate between subs and dubs are important. I guess it is if everyone is understanding. But in this culture, in this era, hate messages and cancel culture are so prominent that everything gets commented on, or like somehow, what do you call this, criticized. Okay, there was this one time earlier, maybe last week. I was watching TikTok, and I was watching a TikTok from this English voice actress named Erica Harlacher. She's a very, very amazing English voice actress. She's voiced a lot of, she's dubbed a lot of popular anime characters like Kyoko Kirigiri in Danganronpa. She also voiced Shinobu Kocho in Demon Slayer. She's also Elizabeth Leonis in Fairy Tail, and so many others. She's also Venti in Genshin Impact. So the one that I watched in her TikTok is that there's this person who replied on her Twitter, who said that, why is Erica promoting the English dubs for Komi-san, I think? And then the person replied on Erica's post, said, you're promoting Komi. I forgot what they said, but it's more like you're promoting Komi-san in English. I don't think many people would like it because so many people prefer subs. And Erica replied with a, how ironic that you have to tell that to me. See? I mean, this is a successful and successful voice actress. Why would people feel the need to tell her that thing about Japanese voice is much more preferable, something? It's so disrespectful though, and it's just, I don't know, that actually ticked me off as well. And I hope people don't do that. English dub voice actors are amazing in their own right, and if you prefer one thing over the other, it doesn't mean that the other is bad. So, yeah. So, what am I trying to say here? Don't hate. Cancel culture is bad. Okay, so for the last part of our episode, I will be reading some comments. I asked a few people to share their thoughts on the subs versus dubs. So I will be choosing a few here. So this is from radio name. So this is from radio name Haru, who prefers to watch both subs and dubs, and this is what they said. I do prefer subs because it's a norm, quote unquote norm, for most of us, but we cannot simply let the dubs be ignored. Imagine the hard work they have gone through and how much difficulty they have to work their bodies off. Just like the different dubs in Genshin, or let's say any Studio Ghibli film, they really have done a great job for it. For that, let us not ignore the effort of English, Filipino, Korean, Chinese, etc. dubs, and also let's support them. Yeah, I actually have a story about this. Oran High School Host Club, I actually watched the dubs first before the subs. If I remember correctly, it was Vic Mignonia who voiced Tamaki, and the dubs is actually really good. The dubs is actually really good for English. It's just that this we are a Seiyuu fandom, and Seiyus are Japanese voice actors. We just prefer something over the other, but it doesn't mean that the others are bad. I watched a lot of localized anime dubs when I was a kid. So there were Voltes 5, Cardcaptor Sakura, Inuyasha. I watched Inuyasha in my local dub, Tagalog. It's in Filipino, and it was good. It was really good. It's not bad. per se. It's good because I understood it in my own language, and I was a kid back then. But just now that I am an adult, I just prefer seiyus. I just prefer Japanese. But that doesn't mean the other dubs are bad. Okay, let's read another one. This is from Kazuha Wonder, who prefers to watch in subs. Kazuha Wonder. Radio name Kazuha Wonder. Hi Tenchou, I mainly use Japanese voices to watch anime, and I'm not familiar with English voice actors and actresses. But I think the hate on English subs is unnecessary, because even English voice actors get hated on. People can like what they like, just don't hate. This is true. I think this is the one that I mentioned earlier, that instead of just discussing about the topic, suddenly there's hate, which is something unnecessary, very, very unnecessary. Some English voice actors get hated on. But I think hate is something just not here in this topic. Hate is everywhere. Don't hate. Like what radio name Kazuhana Wanter said, don't hate. You can like what you like, but don't hate. Okay. Next is this is from Natsugumi Simp. Radio name Natsugumi Simp, who prefers dubs. Okay, this is what they said. I'm a Seiyuu fan, but I would usually prefer to watch in English dubs because it's easier for me to understand without having to use my eyes to catch up on subtitles. Like in Spy Family, I'm a huge Egu simp, but I use the English dubs. Alex Organ is doing pretty well as Lloyd's English voice. He also did Shogo Makishima in Psycho-Pass, which he did pretty well too. I think it's just anyone's preference, really. That's really nice, Natsugumi Simp. Even though they're a huge Egu simp, to those of you who don't know, Eguchi Takuya, that's Eguchi Takuya. Egu is Eguchi Takuya. He's our Discord server mascot. I'm so sorry, Egu. But yeah, even though she's a huge fan of Egu, they prefer dubs, which is easier for them to understand. I think it's something that I mentioned earlier in the Distractify article, that the pros of dubs is that you can actually do other things or multitask without having to stick your eyes on the screen that you're watching. That's really good. The next one is from Rui, who prefers both. To be honest, I would have answered sub supremacy before, since I've mostly by default always had to listen to Japanese dub, and I find the English dubs cringy. But after getting into the Genshin fandom and being aware of how cool the Chinese and English VAs too, I kinda got pulled into appreciating all VAs and being open-minded about the topic, so now I switch with English and Japanese dubs with games. Although I still stick with Japanese dubs with animes. I guess if you take a chance and be open about it, you might find yourself liking another voice actors besides the Japanese seiyus, because I did, ha. Although I honestly think it all boils down to preference. Preference. It's always just preference, really. So yeah, actually me too. I've been listening to dubs before, but I watched cartoons, not anime, before. So you have legends in the English dub territory like Tom Kenny, Tara Strong, those legends. But they're mostly voice actors for cartoons, not dub. So they're different, I think. And they're good. They're really good. They're really good. Okay. Another one is from another one. Another one is from Jay Prashad, who prefers both. And this is what they said. For me, when I started watching anime 10 years ago, I used to watch both sub and dub animes. It's honestly a personal preference. Some like dubs because they can understand well. Some prefer subs because it feels authentic and more relatable, since most anime adaptations are based from Japanese mangas. It gives more quote unquote oomph to the anime. I like both personally. Even some dub animes are better than the sub animes, but the percentage is small. In the end, it's a personal preference. I like how so many people are just mentioning preference because it is a preference. Guys, it's a preference, okay? It's a preference, it's not a debate. So, yeah. Then we have okay, I'm just gonna read the last two. 2, 3. There's so many. Okay. This is from Genie, who prefers subs. Both are and this is what they said. Both are necessary. I just grow liking the Japanese voices, and now it's very difficult to me to see an anime in another language. Being a Seiyuu fan is nearly impossible to do that. But that doesn't mean watching dub anime is bad or that dub should not exist, as some people say. Having a choice is always better than not having one, and everyone should respect the decision of sub and dub. Yes! Preach. Respect the decisions, guys. If you want dubs, that's fine. If you want subs, that's fine. Don't create a whole conversation in the subs in the comment section. I remember this one time. Okay, maybe we sort of, I guess sometimes we contribute to that conversation because we create memes about subs and dubs, but you have to check our post. We don't disrespect dub. It's just that in our memes we prefer subs because we're a Japanese Seiyuu community. Okay, Japanese Seiyuu community. Yeah. Okay, another one. This is from, I'm reading a lot. I'm actually reading a lot. It's fine. So this is from Anon, who prefers both. I've been a fan of voice actors since I was a kid. I grew up loving them regardless of language. For me, it all comes down to directing. The right voice for the right scene or mood. If that is poorly managed, then there we can see the weird or offish scenes regardless of language. Oh, that's true though. There are some dubs. Okay, I forgot to mention this earlier, but when it comes to subs and dubs, it's a general thing. It's just not in anime. You know, when the only thing that people are annoyed with dubs sometimes, just like what I mentioned in the Distractify article, is because they sound they look weird or it looks offish. That's because they have to create these scripts that would fit the conversation in the original language. That is an anime, okay? But try to reverse it. Like, okay. Captain America or Avengers. The original language is in English. There are JP dubs for that. I have to be honest. I see so many people preferring the original English ones than the Japanese dubs because it looks weird. So it's just people prefer the authenticity of the original language. So yeah. And then, okay, this is the last one from Sachi, who prefers subs. I prefer subs over dubs, not because the dub sounds inferior, but because most of them cannot properly pronounce the Japanese names of the characters or have an accent when they pronounce it, and it really turns me off. I mean, there are really very artistic English translated dubs that is sometimes more dramatic than the original Japanese meaning. For example, skate. That. Am I allowed to say this? Wait. For example, skate, that hey bitches, bros, and non-binary hoes part. But then once I hear that the names were pronounced slightly off, I tend to stop watching in dub. I see. Oh, there's one in Genshin Impact as well. I think they mentioned in Japanese it's pronounced as Ayaka. Ayaka, the what you call that? The emphasis is in the Ayaka. But in the English, in the English dubs, it's Ayaka. I mean, I guess that's why I understand the I understand this submission really well. Yeah. Okay, so I think that is all that I could read because I'm so overtimed right now. I guess the conclusion for this episode, which I've been talking about for 40 minutes already, it's subs and dubs, not subs versus dubs. Preference is a preference. No need to hate. If you want something, it's fine. Respect other people's preferences. It's not something that you should debate about. Subs is good, dubs is good for someone, okay? That is our and that concludes our episode for today. Please like and subscribe to Seiyuu Café in all our SNS in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're also on TikTok when we post random shiz. Random shiz and memes. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, the Seiyuu Café. And you can also watch us on YouTube. We're also in some podcasts like Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcasts, Radio Pocket. So many things. So many. Just search the Seiyuu Café on Google and you will find us. Wee! Thank you again for listening to our episode for today. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I actually went past 30 minutes again. But thank you for listening to our episode for today, and I hope to see you again in the next episode. Have a good day, have a good night, and see you all next time. Bye bye.